There is a large number of regulations worldwide, standards, frameworks, and certification programs for the IoT domain. I think on the big picture, we're seeing four areas. This is the automotive, industrial, medical, and consumer markets. Those are the ones where we see a large set of requirements being adopted or required to manufacturers to show evidence of security. And particularly in the area of regulatory compliance, we see North America, Europe, Asia, driving this demand for evidence of security. And that makes the entire market look for how can I show compliance to all those requirements in a way that is scalable, because this drives fragmentation with so many standards out there. How do we fulfill those requirements if you have to sell worldwide? SESIP stands for Security Evaluation Standard for IoT platforms. And here the platform is the software and the hardware that IoT developers use for building their products. SESIP is oriented to do the security evaluations of IoT devices, time and cost effective. And we do this by having the evidence of the security functionalities from all those components, because at the end of the day, most of that security comes from there and not from the application side. So when the IoT developer has to show evidence of that security for compliance, risk management, and even for market differentiator purposes, they just have to look into the evidence that is out there from those components, from those platforms, and that's what SESIP provides. SESIP is very much oriented to address one fundamental problem, and it's this problem of fragmentation. There are so many standards out there. So from a developer perspective, it's a very difficult exercise. Imagine somebody is selling a consumer device. They may need to comply with a standard in North America, in Europe, and in Asia. So it's a complex exercise, especially when the IoT developer is not an expert in security. They know about many other things. They have their expertise in other areas, but that's not necessarily security. So from that perspective, SESIP, bringing the evidence of the security capability of the core components on the platform, helps the developer, because the developer now has evidence of security capability that even they haven't been the developer of that capability, they can use as evidence for demonstrating that their product is secure. And SESIP is looking to solve that problem, the problem of the fragmentation. Let me give an example. You have general purpose microcontrollers. So you have this chip that will go in different products. When a developer of an MCU carries a security evaluation of this component, the component may go into an automotive, and maybe the developer will be looking to certify their embedded control unit for the ISO 21434. But the very same microcontroller may go into an industrial control system, and the developer will be certifying for a 62443. And all this is possible because SESIP is applied to this microcontroller, and the evidence can be used in those different scenarios. Well, this has been a very good year because we have been able to publish a couple of papers. One that explain how this composition model, this ability to reuse the evidence of a component in the certification of a device works. That's one of the papers we have out there. Another paper that is about to be released is applicability of SESIP for the 303645, which is the standard for consumer IoT devices in Europe. And on top of it, we have SESIP profiles for MCU units, for secure memories, which also we published this year. And we have also SESIP security requirements to the NIS 8259A published on the NIS platform, which is good because now we have a way to translate all those security capabilities required on the NIS standard and express this in a SESIP format. And that's out there. So we're very happy with the results. The best way to engage with the SESIP community is to participate on the SESIP sub-task force. There we are looking at the methodology, but it's not only that, we also look into the applications of SESIP. We also have liaisons with different organizations that help us to make this translation of the benefits of SESIP into the evolution of products. And that will be definitely the best way to have those conversations, because the different stakeholders have a say there, have their opinion, and help us to shape the standard and the applicability of the standard. Of course, there is always the GlobalPlatform website. That could be your starting point if you're new to security evaluations of IoT and platforms, where we have a series of materials, documentations, webinars that you can make use in order to get familiar with everything that we do in the SESIP world. We try to see to this problem from the IoT developer perspective. We put ourselves in the shoes of that developer who has to comply with those different standards. On the other hand, the security task force, we have a group of experts who understand security. So by combining this need to understand this fragmentation of standards through the eyes of security experts, we wanted to create a matrix that gives us visibility of those standards, that allows to compare, to put in a common language those different standards, allows to compare the security requirements, to identify how many things we can find there that are similar and which things are different. And when we do that, we expect to help the IoT developers community to navigate this complexity of standards in a way that once we identify the common requirements, they're able to say, well, if I have this functionality, I'm able to fulfill this and this and this standard. And if I want to comply with those standards, I need to be aware of those differences. And that's at the core of this matrix.